Hiya! Back from raid testing, this time with 2 bosses on Friday. And the first of which was this lovely lad, Nimue, which is how it's pronounced. I double checked. That's what they said in the thing, in the announcement video. It's Nimue. This boss is kind of garbage. I'm gonna be honest. Also, YouTube, say hi to Twitch. So the problem with this boss specifically is first of all, it doesn't move. This boss stays in this little like plant area the entire time. And for melee, holy, it's so toxic. Basically, there's these needles and there's these swirls. So you see that swirl? I had to move to the other side. There's these needles that chase you, a thread of life. You see that I'm running this out right now, and this needle will chase me. The problem is, as I pause this, there's barriers on the floor, like little ridges here. If the needle doesn't go through one of these barriers, one of these like illuminated ridges on the floor, it explodes and it just instantly wipes the raid. Like, it does a ton of damage. So, if you get targeted with melee on the first set, it's kind of in the middle of your cooldowns, and then you gotta run out and just stand here and like wait, and then run back in. It's not great. It's not great. And then there's an intermission here where you have to kill these 2 trees. On this one I died, but I promise you the hitboxes on the trees, not great. And eventually you can kind of like game the timing with your cooldowns, but the issue is that the boss gains energy at an increasing rate. So what ends up happening is, like, the start of this, you can see here the hitbox is dumb, right? Like, I have to be inside of this dude in order to hit it. But as you go back to the boss and the boss starts casting again and going through it again, it's faster every single time. So like here you'll see my 2 minutes are coming up for the boss, which is great. But the next time it won't be 2 minutes, it'll be like 1:40. And then it'll be like 1:20, and then it'll be like 1 minute. Yeah, it sucks. Like, timing your cooldowns on this fight is a mess. The other bad thing is you can't cross over these lines on the floor yourself, or else you take a big dot. So like if you run through 2 lines, it's fine. Ideally, I'd want to step to the boss, but you can't. You literally can't. On a lot of other fights, you were able to step to the boss and it would put you in a fixed position. For example, like Eye of Jailer in Sanctum was like that, where the eyeball was floating off the platform. And if you stepped to that eyeball, you went to the same spot every time. Senarth, thank you, chat. That's a good one as well. Senarth, the same thing, the big ice spider. If you stepped to Senarth, it would put you on the platform in a fixed position, right? So that doesn't happen on this boss. You just actually cannot step. It doesn't even let you step. You just press the button and nothing happens. So that's kind of dumb. But whatever, single target fight. You just burst and does damage. We'll talk more about the burst later because we got stuff to talk about. Then we got this boy. This is the dragon flying boss. Dragon riding. I always call it dragon flying. Dragon riding boss. Basically, you have this platform here and a bunch of big mechanics. It's a super hectic fight. I think it's really fun. But you have to run these stars out. Also, my lag goes crazy here. I think on later pulls it was fine, so let me try and skip ahead. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. You get entangled here. The problem with the entanglement here is that you could have a mushroom spawn on you, and the mushroom will just kill you. So, dumb. It's dumb, is what I'm saying. There's a bunch of timing issues on these mechanics that I don't really like. Gonna be honest, it's not the best thing in the world. But then he transforms into a moonkin here and then transforms into an owl. This is the intermission, right? So it's 3 platforms, 2 intermissions. We went and stacked with range. The mushrooms only spawn in melee. I mean, that's an option, but I would prefer to not be in range because it's ranged. And that would be off the boss, which kind of sucks itself anyways. I'm sure there's ways to like game it and try and bait it, but right now it's kind of dumb. So as the boss goes into owl form and flies up, he drops these feathers all over the place. You'll see an extra action button. Mine's bound to Shift H down here. So you press it, you pick up one of the feathers, and then you can dragonfly. So you'll see me here casting my mount, and then we're off to the races. And you basically have to chase this guy down. And as you're chasing him down, there's going to be these green orbs, which basically refill your entire vigor. The entire vigor thing just resets. If you hit these red orbs, you die. It's a lot of damage. It might do like 90% of your health. You might be able to hit 2, especially with cheat death, but just don't. But you just kind of chase this guy down. When he lands, he starts casting this big supernova. And you have to DPS through the shield. It's a really, really short cast, so your opener has to be big on this. Like you have to basically try and condense your opener and do an accelerated version of the opener in order to get all of your damage in. Here you see my Kingsbane and my Deathmark just time out right at the end. That's ideally what you want to see. But this shield is like surprisingly kind of strong. If you have DPS that are slow and suck at dragon riding, it's gonna be pretty painful. The other thing to note, if I go back a little bit, is you'll see that I have a debuff up here. So here's 1, and then 2, 3, and it comes from these green orbs. Any raid member that flies through a green orb will give you this buff. And each orb that you fly through is a 5% damage buff. So you'll see I fly through this, I have 8 stacks, and by the time I land, I'll have 10. Right, so here we go, 8, 9, and then the 10th is coming soon, 10. So I have a 50% damage buff here. And we lusted and hit all of our cooldowns to burst the shield because the shield was really strong. And then you do the same thing again later. So let's see if we get there. This is probably a wipe. Yeah, so this one's a wipe. In this tree phase, he spawns these petals. You have to just run over them. It gives you a stacking dot, so tanks, cloaks, any immunities that can remove stuff. Cloak is really, really strong. So you might be assigned to go soak those. Let's see if I have... We have... Oh, network error. That's not good. Come on. So we kind of got there at the end. Not this pull. I think this might have been the pull. We've managed to break a second shield here. So you see the same thing. We step on the petals. He does a big fire hit. And then we have to fly again, right? And this time, it's a little bit different. Because these red orbs, they move. And the hitbox on them is kind of janky. I don't know if it's like PTR lag or if they're just bad. But like sometimes, like that one was behind me and I got absolutely clapped. And then here, there's orbs on the other side of the platform. If you saw, like at the top. But basically, it's just a repeat. So you have all your cooldowns back. You just kind of full crank this guy again. I'm a little slow here on my cooldown, so you'll see that like I'm setting everything up, and it just barely fits into the window. But we do end up breaking this. We have 11 stacks right now, and then the moment the shield breaks, you lose the buff. So this is the last phase, and it's basically a combination of phase 1 and 2. So you have the fire tornadoes, you have the mass entanglements, you have all of the petals to step on. The dispels that are on the edge of the room for ranged will start filling up the room. So it's a really, really hectic fight. I really enjoy it, honestly. This is a really enjoyable fight, in my opinion, but a lot of people will probably not like it. just because it is so like out there. And then this is just a toxic overlap. Like the mushrooms here that you can't step into, and then the tornadoes. This is probably going to be an assigned cloak and soak the mushroom type situation, because this just insta-wiped us. But those are the fights. I kind of like them. Nimue is really, really, really boring, in my opinion. You just have to run the one thing out, and that's it. However, let's talk about the star of the show, and move chat down, because they're way up there. Before I forget. So, logs, right? They'll be linked in the description, as they have been in the past as well. But this is ridiculous. So we were testing some stuff. Me and Scanna. Very good rogue. Plays in Consequence. Shout out Scanna, good guy. But the burst damage that Assassination can do is crazy. Is crazy. So this is the first 30 seconds of the fight. This is with Lust on Nimue and stuff. It's pretty good. It is a little bit button heavy. This is with passive Exsanguinate as well. So this isn't active Exsanguinate. But you do have to play Sepsis and Kingsbane. So if you're not comfortable with that, then Also plays Dance. So you'll see that my opener is a little bit piano. I'll zoom in a little bit, but yeah, this is a bit piano. I don't know if this is like optimal or whatever. Obviously, things can change about the opener, and like we'll have to optimize it. But there's a lot of stuff going on. I think it's mostly just like a get used to it type situation. This was my first time playing with all of them, so in previous raid testings I hadn't played Shadow Dance much, and I didn't play Shadow Dance with Sepsis. So this was kind of the first time that I had Dance and Sepsis and Kingsbane, and an on-use trinket, like a new on-use trinket. I got used to it after like 10 pulls. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just a little bit weird in my fingers for a while. But once I kind of got used to it, it was fine. So I don't think it's too big of an issue. But Assassination's burst is crazy, and a lot of it is Kingsbane, a lot of it is Deathmark, a lot of it, you know, poison damage in general. So it's looking pretty good. There's an easier version that we were trying where instead of Sepsis you play Bone Spike and you don't have to worry about Sepsis at all. That might be an easier thing. And then obviously on the shield damage, this is also good. So this is just the shield damage on our last pull where we got both shields. And I was cranking. This number doesn't make any sense, but you know, we can zoom in on one of these. It's pretty good damage. So here, 300,000 during the shield. Big stuff. And then the second shield, same kind of deal. If you can get low enough, then the shield would be an execute, and Zoldyck applies even though it's shielded. So as long as the boss is under 35%, if the shield is up and the boss is under 35%, you apply your Zoldyck damage to the shield, right? So I don't know how low the boss is supposed to be going into the last phase, but it's going to be big. Yeah, the shield has a damage amp of like 50% based on the orbs that you collect while you're dragon riding. So you can stack this 50% and then get Zoldyck on top of it if you're quick enough. So this second shield might actually be a big crank moment for Assassination, especially given all the bursts and stuff. And just to show that this isn't just me, again, Scanna's logs. This was also on the shield. This was the first shield. He did 420,000. Very cool. That's the funny number. It's big. It's big. Our damage is big. If you can line up all of your cooldowns and burst, it's a good time. So, yeah. That's about all I have for the raid testing. Big burst with Dance. Big burst with Sepsis. I'll show you what he was doing, but he was doing something similar. Basically, get dots up, Sepsis, Deathmark, Kingsbane, the same as now. He used Dance before this, so like Dance was here, like 2 seconds earlier. Snapshot, 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 snapshot everything. Night Stalker doing increased damage on everything. And then just pumping Envenoms, making sure the Shiv uptime is good. Using it on use. And it just goes. It just goes. So that's currently one of the ideas. But yeah. I don't think it's required, by the way. Like, don't go dooming about like, oh, I have to play Dance now. It's the only build. Plenty of tuning to go, and Bone Spike is fine, and all the other stuff is also fine. But if you want to full burst, it's good. It's good. So, yeah. I'm really enjoying Assassination and raids. Feeling really good. The bosses, bosses are fun, but some of the stuff is really weird. The timing on some of the mechanics are a little bit weird. Tuning's a little bit weird. But if it all gets ironed out, then we're looking at a really good patch. I really like Assassination. I really like the raid. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope you guys are excited too. Okay. So, yeah. Liscana getting PI. I doubt it, but it's possible. Yeah, no PI. Just Shadow Dance at the start to Snapshot. No PIs here. No externals. Didn't even have an Augmentation Evoker. No nothing. So, it's just raw. It's just raw. No Wind Fury, correct. No nothing. Just him. Just him doing damn. Yeah, some of that is just Scanna being really, really good. Most of it is just Assassination Burst being crazy. But yeah, fun times! Raid testing, it's good, it's cool. Okay, bye YouTube. Have a good one. Article will be coming out at some point, maybe. I need to finish writing it this weekend because they changed a bunch of stuff and I have to edit a bunch of things. And then Mythic raid testing next Thursday and Friday. So, yeah, come to the stream. It's a good time. It's a good time. Okay, bye-bye.